Hello, it's so good to see you again. I'm Daniel, and together with my wife Barbara, I'm restoring this 75-year-old historic sailing ship.
3 years ago, during our first shipyard time, we made a very scary discovery deep down in the hold of our ship. We found out that some of our frames are severely corroded.
Whoa! That's our frames!
I know.
Fixing them is quite a large project on its own, and we needed to come up with a good plan on how to fix the structure and make the ship seaworthy again. And now the time has finally come to approach this huge chapter and make massive progress in the refit of Flying Coney.
So we're done with removing the concrete on the starboard side of the cargo hold. That are 10 compartments, and we have 24 compartments more to go. It took us 1 day to remove it, but it was a really exhausting and really hard job because the concrete is really hard. But the good thing is that it separates quite nicely from the steel, and most important thing is that the steel underneath of the concrete is in great condition, especially the hull, but also the frames that are buried underneath of the concrete, they're solid and original strength, which is very good because it's really easy to just cut them away and connect the frames that we do want to replace above the concrete with the part that goes underneath of the concrete ballast. And the first task for today is to move all the stuff from the port side to the starboard side, so from A to B, so that we can tackle the next side. So now that we've spent 30 minutes transferring stuff from A to B, we now have the opportunity to start with the real work. One question is if we do have to replace the concrete with something else, and we don't think so, but we are measuring the amount we're taking out. But the ballast is the flat concrete floor here, and the part that is just pulled up is to protect the frames and to make a bowl shape so that all the water can run into the bilge. And that's not part of the ballast, and it's just a few 100 kilograms, and that does not matter at a boat of our size.
One thing I really like about Flying Coney is the teak wheelhouse trim, and I do think it gives the vessel a very elegant and classic look. But there is a reason why this kind of varnished wood is also called bright work aboard of a ship, because it's a lot of work to get it into this state and to maintain it. And we actually started 2 years ago with the restoration of the wheelhouse. Together with Harold, we scraped off the old flaking of varnish. Then together with Natalia, we sanded and varnished the front of the wheelhouse. Leo sanded the port side of the wheelhouse, and also Barbara and I did a lot of work, a lot of scraping, a lot of sanding, and a lot of varnishing to the wheelhouse. But we do think that the work that is involved in getting the bright work done is well worth the effort, because it drastically improves the look of the boat. So we've planned to add a few more wooden details to the boat, like a wooden butterfly hatch, maybe wooden cap rails, and of course we're keeping the teak wheelhouse trim because it looks absolutely stunning. Today I want to answer a question we got asked quite a lot regarding the rigging and the ballasting of Flying Coney, because it's always the question if the ballast is high enough to counteract the rigging, especially since we've planned to put a fairly large rig on our boat. Well, the game plan for now is to remove as much weight on the top as possible. Remove the concrete-filled gutter, things like that. And then do a rolling test, calculate how high the ballast is and what rig could be put on the vessel. And if we do find out that there is not enough ballast on boats like that, it's really simple. As you can see here on this fishing vessel, it's possible to put a big steel bar on both sides of the keel, and you could easily add about 15 tons of steel that way. Usually it's done on fishing boats if they get modernized and if they get in modern fishing gear that's heavier than that one the boat was built with. Of course, we could do the same on our boat because we have basically a trawler hull.
So we have removed the majority of the concrete on the port side in the cargo hold as well. We've already killed our first jackhammer, but that's not too much of a problem since we've already removed the concrete out of 20 compartments, and we've just 14 left. To have a similar picture here of the steel, the hull is in great condition. Maybe the frames on this side are a little bit worse than on the other side, but nothing that can't be repaired. That's good. And we found a new technique, which is underneath here we have the original concrete ballast. And if we hammer alongside this ballast here, it's quite easy to get rid of the concrete that is poured in between the frames. So that makes life a lot easier and we're a lot faster on this side. But still, it's very, very exhausting and hard work to get rid of the concrete, but really rewarding since it's a big step towards a sound hull and towards the frame repair. So what's left to do for today is to do a little bit more cleanup, and since we ruined the second big machine, Marcus is currently on his way to the DIY store to get a chisel for the smaller machine, which is actually a good thing because with the smaller machine it's a little bit easier to do the cleanup next to the rivets and next to the frames to get a nice surface finish in the end. Ready for welding, ready for painting. So a lot of hands were involved in making this wheelhouse beautiful again. And the reason why it is so difficult is because you do need a good weather window to get some work done. Because if you do sand it, then you need to apply varnish in about a week or in 2 weeks, otherwise it quickly turns gray again. So you needed to get at least 2, better 3 coats of varnish on. Each coat of varnish takes up about 1 day. So it's a lot of work. Even though the area looks small, on a boat of this size, even things that look small are big in reality. There's nothing small on a big ship. And now, since one of our jackhammers broke down, so I had to hammer out the concrete myself, and Marcus was free, it was the turn of Marcus to also get some work done to the wheelhouse.
So this is the perfect tool for this project. It's an SDS Max jackhammer. It's in the 7 kilo class, so it has enough power to remove concrete in an acceptable time frame. And in comparison, we have here an SDS Plus jackhammer. This is a jackhammer you will have usually in your household. As you can imagine, it's lighter and has therefore less power, but it's much less tedious. So it's the perfect tool for detailing, especially around the rivets, where you have to handle the machine. It's much easier than this bigger one. Nonetheless, we choose this jackhammer. There are still larger ones, but we feared that it would be too easy to punch through the steel hull with these machines. So there are several chisels available for the machines. This one is a pointed chisel. It's ideal for breaking loose large chunks of concrete. So this is the reason why we chose this chisel in the beginning, to remove the major parts of the concrete. Afterwards we switched to the flat chisels. The flat chisels exist in various widths, and those are ideal for scraping along the surface and for detailing purposes, especially around the rivets.
So we have freed the next 10 frame sections from concrete. It was a little bit more than on the starboard side. The steel underneath it is in very good condition. Also the frames here on this side are a little bit more worn, maybe because there was more wooden floor battens next to it. But yeah, that's the reason why we're doing that. So it should be very easy to cut them out and to put new frames in, and then it's good to go for the next 75 years. And since modern paint are far more effective in prohibiting rust, it should last a very, very, very long time. And it really feels good to have this step done. So with the removal of the concrete here in the cargo hold, and since the concrete is now gone, we've started with the last big repair that is really necessary to make this ship good and great again. And it feels really, really, really good. But all this wouldn't be possible without the generous support of our lovely patrons. So if you also want to support this project, please head over to Patreon. We do offer real-time updates, so if you want to be more involved in this project, check out what we're offering there. And if you don't want to join our Patreon community, then just like this video, subscribe to our channel so you don't miss the next video when we continue with removing even more concrete in the forecastle.